After paying $240,000 for her tuition, my niece banned me from her graduation, saying I'd embarrass her because of my stutter. So I canceled everything. And she learned what happens when you bite the hand that feeds you. Hey, Reddit. So this isn't one of those feel-good family stories. It's about what happens when you spend years helping the wrong people and finally decide to stop. I never planned to get even. But when my niece and her parents crossed a line, I realized keeping quiet wasn't kindness anymore. What followed started with a single text and ended with a lesson they'll never forget. I, Tom, 46 male, am not great with words. Never have been. I've had a small stutter since I was a kid, and people used to think it meant I was shy. Truth is, I just pick my words carefully. I live in Philly, work in logistics for a big company that pays well enough to keep me comfortable. I've got my own condo, a decent truck, and a dog named Rex. Life's been simple, quiet. I always thought I'd have a wife and a couple of kids by now. I tried dating in my 20s and 30s, but most women didn't get past the stutter. A few did, but things never stuck. Somewhere along the line, I stopped trying. I poured all that dad energy into my niece, Phoebe. When Regina, my older sister, had Phoebe, something changed in me. I remember holding that baby in the hospital, her hand barely curling around my pinky. She looked at me like I was the whole world. From then on, I treated her like my own. I babysat when Regina and her husband, Mark, needed breaks. I took her to school, sat through dance recitals, built her science fair volcanoes. She used to call me Uncle T. Tom when she was little, dragging out the sound like it was part of my name. I didn't mind. Regina used to joke that Phoebe liked me more than her own parents, but I didn't take it seriously. They were always nice enough to me, maybe a little flaky, maybe a little self-centered, but family. Whenever they needed help, I was there. Regina's freelance work was on and off. Mark's auto shop was always about to take off, and I didn't mind helping. When Phoebe turned 18 and got accepted into Dartmouth, the whole family celebrated like she'd won the lottery. I was proud. She called me that night, crying over the phone. Uncle Tom, I got in, she said between sobs. But we can't afford it. Please. This is my dream. I remember sitting at my desk, looking at her acceptance email she'd forwarded me. I didn't even hesitate. I'll take care of it, I said. We'll figure it out. She promised she'd pay me back after graduation. I knew that probably wouldn't happen, but I didn't care. I just wanted to see her succeed. I paid every semester. Tuition, housing, textbooks, even meal plans. Every time she sent a thank you text, I screenshotted it, just so I'd have proof someday that it mattered. For a few years, everything was good. Phoebe called often, sent photos of campus, updates about her classes. Regina and Mark bragged to everyone about how we made Dartmouth possible. I didn't correct them. I figured family was family. But about 6 months before graduation, something changed. Phoebe stopped texting as much. Calls went unanswered. When she did reply, it was short. One-word answers, delayed for days. Regina became colder too. Suddenly, it felt like they were tolerating me, not appreciating me. I remember one Sunday dinner at Regina's place. Phoebe was scrolling on her phone the whole time. I asked about her capstone project, and she mumbled, "It's fine." Then Regina laughed and said, "She's just stressed." You know how kids are. But I caught the eye roll from Phoebe. The same girl who used to run to the door when I visited couldn't even look at me now. Still, I told myself it was just graduation stress. She was young, busy, probably trying to be independent. I brushed it off. Then came that Tuesday. I was at Costco pushing a cart through the electronics aisle, looking at TVS. It was one of those boring errands kind of days. My phone buzzed, and I figured it was work or a reminder about Rex's vet appointment. Instead, it was a message from the family group chat we'd made years ago, Phoebe's college crew. I smiled at first, thinking maybe it was about dinner plans or the ceremony schedule. I opened it. 3 sentences. "You're not welcome at my graduation party. You're gonna embarrass me. Stay home, loser." I just stared at it. The words didn't even register at first. I thought maybe she sent it to the wrong person. Before I could type anything, Regina reacted with a thumbs-up emoji. Mark dropped a laughing face. I stood there under the buzzing fluorescent lights, gripping my phone like it was about to explode. A couple next to me was arguing over soundbars, and I could barely hear them over my heartbeat. I waited for someone to say, "Just kidding," or LOL, or anything. Nothing. The chat stayed silent. I walked out of Costco without even checking out. I sat there in the parking lot for 15 minutes, staring at the message, rereading it. After everything I'd done, all the nights I stayed up filling out forms, all the money I'd spent, this was what I got. A stay-home loser. When I finally drove home, I didn't reply. Not yet. I needed time to process it, to figure out what kind of person my niece had become. That night, I kept thinking. The little girl who used to giggle at my stutter was now ashamed of me because of it. I realized something that night in that dark, quiet apartment. Whatever family I thought I had wasn't real. It was just me, the one holding it together with money, patience, and blind loyalty. I sat on the couch staring at that message until the phone screen dimmed. My chest felt tight, but my brain kept saying, "There's no way she meant it." Phoebe always joked around. Maybe this was one of those bad jokes that missed the mark. I decided to call her. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped the phone the first time. I picked it up again, hit her name, and waited. It rang 3 times before she answered. "Hello." Her voice was sharp, not the soft, cheerful tone I used to hear. "Phoebe, hey, I just saw the message. You sent that to me?" I stuttered, trying to sound calm. She laughed. "Yeah, I did. Why? You didn't get it?" I froze. "Is this—" I paused, swallowed hard. "Is this a joke or something?" "No," she said quickly. "Why would I want you there? You can't even talk right half the time. Don't make it weird." The words hit harder than I expected. I tried to reply, but my voice cracked mid-sentence. Phoebe, I don't—" She hung up, just like that. I stared at the phone like maybe it'd ring again and she'd say she was kidding. It didn't. I called Regina next. Straight to voicemail. I texted her, "What's going on?" She saw it. Read at 8:21 p.m. No reply. The group chat stayed silent. Nobody said a thing. I sat there for hours, just stuck. Every few minutes, I'd open the chat again, half hoping it was all some stupid prank. But nothing came. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind kept jumping back to the good years. The years that felt like they actually meant something. I remembered when Phoebe was 13, crying because she failed her first math test. I took the whole weekend off to tutor her. She ended up getting an A on the next one, and Regina called me her lucky charm. I remembered when I helped her move into her dorm freshman year. She was nervous, her hands shaking while unpacking boxes. I told her, "You're gonna do great," and she hugged me so hard I couldn't breathe. She called me her favorite person in the world. I remembered the care packages I sent. Snacks, new notebooks, gift cards, even hand warmers during the winter months. I still had her old thank you notes stored in a drawer. "Thank you, Uncle Tom. I love you so much." They were written in that bubbly handwriting of hers, full of hearts and exclamation marks. All that. And now she couldn't stand the idea of me at her graduation, because I can't even talk right. I sat there, staring at the stack of bills on my table. Tuition payments, receipts, credit card statements. I'd paid every single one without asking for anything back. No strings, no conditions. And still, that wasn't enough to earn basic respect. By midnight, I'd convinced myself to call Regina again. Straight to voicemail. I left a message. "Regina, I don't know what's going on, but I'd really like to talk about this. Call me back, okay?" She never did. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I hadn't slept at all. The family group chat had 50 new messages. For a second, I thought maybe they'd realized how messed up it was and were apologizing. They weren't. The chat was full of messages about graduation party plans. Decorations, food, parking details. Phoebe sent a picture of her cap and gown. Regina commented, "So proud of you, baby." Mark added, "Can't wait for the big day." My name wasn't mentioned. Not once. No apology. No acknowledgement of the message. Just like I'd been erased. That's when I understood. They weren't joking. They actually didn't want me there. They wanted my money, not me. I went to work that day pretending everything was fine. I kept my head down, answered emails, sat through meetings, but inside I was running through every memory I had of them. Every time I'd fixed their problems, paid their bills, or showed up when no one else did. I replayed the call over and over. Her mocking tone, the way she said, "Don't make it weird." The girl I once called my kid basically told me I was an embarrassment. At lunch, I couldn't eat. My coworker asked if I was okay, and I said I just had a headache. I didn't even have the energy to explain how your own family can make you feel like a stranger. That evening, I opened my laptop and scrolled through my old email exchanges with Dartmouth. Every tuition receipt, every confirmation number, every payment schedule. All under my name. Phoebe used to end her emails with, "Thank you again, Uncle Tom. You're my hero." That night, I printed every single one of those emails and put them in a folder. I didn't know why yet. I just knew something inside me had changed. The old version of me, the one who always paid, forgave, and stayed quiet, was done. By the time I went to bed, I'd already made up my mind. If they didn't want me at the graduation, they could have it their way. But they were about to find out what happens when the man they call loser stops paying for their dream. They really thought I'd just stay quiet and keep funding their fantasy. So I typed one message. No drama, no emotion, just facts. I'm pulling my payments from your tuition. I sent it. For about 2 minutes, there was nothing. Then Regina replied, Tom, don't start. You're being dramatic. Mark added, you wouldn't actually do that. Chill out. And Phoebe? She sent a GIF of someone rolling their eyes. That was it. That's how they treated the man who'd been covering about $60,000 a year after scholarships and grants for 4 years. I just sat there, staring at that little animated GIF looping over and over. Then I opened my laptop, logged into Dartmouth's financial portal, and pulled up the payment details. Every single semester, the payments were under my name. The loans, the card, the receipts, it was all me. I clicked the phone number for the financial aid office and called. After a short hold, a woman answered. Dartmouth Financial Aid, this is Karen. How can I help you today? Hi, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. My name's Tom Harris. I handle the tuition payments for my niece, Phoebe Reynolds. I'd like to terminate all future payments. There was a pause. I can help with that, Mr. Harris. Can you verify your billing address and payment method? I did. She typed for a while, then said, all right. I see you've paid through the end of this semester. The balance for the upcoming term hasn't been processed yet. Would you like me to flag the account for non-payment? Yes, I said. Effective immediately. Understood. Once the flag is active, the student's account will be frozen until the outstanding balance is cleared. That includes graduation eligibility. Perfect, I said. Is there a specific reason you're terminating? No, I said flatly. Just done paying. She didn't ask further. Just told me I'd get a confirmation email within the hour. When I hung up, I leaned back on the couch. My heart was pounding, but it wasn't fear. It was relief. Like I'd finally drawn a line after years of being everyone's backup plan. By noon, the confirmation email came through. Account status. Payment suspended. Graduation hold in place. I didn't say a word to anyone. I just went about my day. Did some paperwork for my job. Took Rex for a walk. Made dinner. Peaceful silence for once. That peace lasted about 16 hours. The next morning, my phone blew up. Calls, texts, voicemails, all from Regina. I ignored the first few, but she didn't stop. When I finally answered, she was already yelling. Tom, what did you do? Terminated the payments, I said calmly. Are you insane? She snapped. You can't just... She's supposed to graduate very soon. I can, actually. The account's under my name. Regina made a sound like she was about to explode. You're ruining her future over a misunderstanding. No, I said. I'm done paying for people who treat me like garbage. Don't be so selfish, she said. You've always said Phoebe's future matters to you. Yeah, I said. But apparently, me being there doesn't. She hung up on me. 5 minutes later, Mark texted, You're overreacting. This is why we didn't want you involved in the first place. I almost laughed. Didn't want me involved? They wanted my credit card plenty. For the rest of the day, my phone kept buzzing. Calls, messages, even a few guilt trips about family sticking together. I ignored all of it. By the end of the week, the situation at Dartmouth must have hit hard because Regina's tone changed. She started leaving voicemails, less angry, more desperate. Tom, please. They're saying she can't walk without payment. You don't want to ruin her big day. We'll pay you back. Just help her this one last time. I ignored it. At work, I focused on projects, avoided my phone. At night, I'd sit by the window, listening to the city noise while Rex slept at my feet. I felt oddly calm. Like for once, I wasn't carrying someone else's problems. 2 days later, a new message popped up in the group chat. Phoebe this time. Seriously? You're doing this out of spite? You think this makes you look strong? It's pathetic. 10 minutes later, she followed up. I hope you're happy. You just wasted 4 years for nothing. That one stung. But not because she said it, because she believed it. She really thought all I'd done, every dollar, every sacrifice, was worthless unless it benefited her. I closed the chat and deleted their numbers from my favorites list. It was petty, maybe, but it felt good. That night, I sat on my couch again. Same spot, same silence. Only this time, there was no doubt in my mind. They wanted me out of their celebration. Fine. Let's see how they celebrate without me. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. I expected shouting, threats, guilt trips, maybe even someone showing up at my door. Instead, there was nothing. No calls, no texts, just silence. It was weird, almost peaceful. For the first time in years, I didn't wake up to another emergency I needed to fix. By the third day, the calm cracked. I opened TikTok out of boredom, and there it was. Phoebe's face smiling under perfect lighting, wearing a new outfit captioned New Beginnings. The video was one of those cliché graduation montages. Slow music, clips of her throwing her cap, hugging friends, laughing on campus. Probably filmed during senior week, or one of those pre-grad shoots they do before the ceremony. Except, it wasn't her graduation yet. The comments started rolling in fast. Didn't your uncle pay for all this? You uninvited the guy funding your degree? Bold move. So much for loyalty, huh? I scrolled through, jaw tight. Dozens of people were calling her out. Some of her classmates were chiming in, saying she'd been bragging about having connections and family money. Apparently, the rumor about me cutting payments was spreading. Family group chats had a way of leaking. By evening, my cousin Gina texted, "Hey, is it true Phoebe's account is frozen?" Regina's saying it's a misunderstanding. I just screenshotted it and archived it. The next morning, another cousin, Brian, messaged, "Not taking sides, man, but damn. Everyone's talking about it. You okay?" I texted back one line, "I'm fine." That was all I had to say. Later that day, Regina must have decided silence wasn't working. She tried calling again, no voicemail this time, just a long text about how we're still family and shouldn't let a small argument ruin Phoebe's big moment. Small argument. That's what she called mocking me publicly and cutting me out of her daughter's graduation party. Mark followed up an hour later with an email. Not a real one, just a link to a TED Talk about forgiveness and letting go of resentment. The subject line read, "You'll feel lighter after watching this." I didn't even click it. I just took a screenshot and sent it to myself for records. 2 hours after that, Regina tried to bring Mom into it. I knew because Mom called me. She never calls unless something's wrong. "Tom," she said carefully. "Regina told me what happened. She said maybe you acted out of emotion. Maybe you could—" "No," I interrupted. "I didn't act out of emotion. I acted out of facts." She hesitated. "She says Phoebe might not graduate because of this." I sighed. "Then maybe Phoebe shouldn't have told her only supporter to stay home, loser." Mom went quiet for a long time. Then she said something I didn't expect. "You've done enough for that girl. I'm not getting involved." And that was all I needed to hear. I thanked her and hung up. But peace never lasts with people like Regina. 3 days later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. "Hi, is this Mr. Harris's?" a woman said politely. "This is Karen from Dartmouth's financial aid office." My stomach dropped. "Yes, this is Tom. I just wanted to confirm something with you," she said. "Earlier today, someone called claiming to be your assistant. They requested to reinstate Phoebe Reynolds' tuition payments under your name. We asked for verification, and the caller hung up." I clenched my jaw. "Did they give a name?" She said her name was Regina. "Of course she did." Karen continued. "We wanted to make sure this wasn't authorized by you. The account is still locked." "It wasn't me," I said. "If anyone calls again, tell them to stop trying. They don't have authorization." "I'll make a note of that," she said. "And don't worry, Mr. Harris. We deal with this sort of thing more often than you'd think." When the call ended, I sat there staring at my phone for a long time. My own sister tried to impersonate my assistant just to get the money flowing again. That told me everything I needed to know. It wasn't about Phoebe's future. It was about control. They couldn't stand that I finally said no. I forwarded the email confirmation from Karen to myself for records, then sent it to a friend I trusted, Jenna, one of my coworkers who'd been following the story. Subject line, "This is who they really are." She replied in 5 minutes. Holy crap. That's next level desperate. Yeah, desperate and delusional. That night, I checked Phoebe's TikTok again. The New Beginnings post was gone. Probably deleted after the comments got too nasty. But another video had gone up. Just a shot of her crying. Captioned, "People don't understand what I'm going through." No mention of me. No accountability. Just victim mode. Her followers were split. Half telling her to stay strong, half reminding her she uninvited the man paying her bills. I didn't comment. I didn't even feel angry anymore. Just done. Completely done. As I got ready for bed, I realized I'd stopped checking my phone every few minutes. I wasn't waiting for them to reach out anymore. I didn't care what Regina was saying behind my back or how Phoebe was spinning the story online. They'd spent years treating me like their bank account. Now they were learning what life looks like without the withdrawals. And honestly, it was starting to feel pretty good. That peace lasted a week. Then, about a week before graduation, there was a knock at my door. It was a hard, hurried knock. The kind people do when they're desperate. Rex barked, tail stiff, pacing in front of the door. I muted the TV and checked the peephole. Regina. She must have followed another tenant inside the building. Her hair was frizzy from the rain, her purse clutched tight to her chest like she was holding something valuable. She knocked again. Tom, please. I know you're home, she called. We need to talk. It's about Phoebe. I didn't move. Tom, come on. This isn't fair to her. She made a mistake, but you're destroying her future. I stood there quietly, arms crossed, watching her shift from anger to guilt. Her voice softened. You've always been the reasonable one. Please, let's just talk this out. Nothing. Finally, she muttered, You've changed, you know that? You're not the brother I grew up with. Then she turned and walked down the hall, shoulders slumped, mumbling under her breath. I waited until I heard the stairwell door click shut before walking back to the couch. Rex jumped up beside me, still alert. We're not opening that door, bud, I said quietly. The next morning, I woke up to 2 Venmo notifications, both from Phoebe. Request, $15,000. No message. I almost laughed. Not even a please. Just the number, like I was some kind of tuition ATM she forgot the PIN for. Venmo wouldn't even let her send that much if she tried, but she still hit request like it was normal. I hit decline. And 5 minutes later, another request popped up. Same amount. Same silence. Declined again. Then I blocked her. By noon, Regina texted, Did you really block your own niece? She's desperate, Tom. Have a heart. No, I thought. What I finally had was a spine. That same afternoon, my work phone rang. I was halfway through a report when my manager, Dana, poked her head into my office. Hey, you got a weird call just now. Some guy said his name was Mark Reynolds. Claimed to be a client looking for you directly. Reception said he didn't sound legit. My jaw tightened. Yeah, that's my brother-in-law. Please block his number. Dana frowned. You good? Better than ever, I said. She smirked. Good answer. I went back to work, but it stuck in my head. They weren't just desperate. They were getting reckless. When I got home that night, there it was in my inbox. Subject, please, Tom. Regina's emails always started like she was calm and ended like she was spiraling. Phoebe hasn't been sleeping. She's having panic attacks. You're breaking this family apart over pride. Please, just help her finish school. We'll pay you back once she gets her job. Don't make this permanent. I reread the line about her job 3 times. She didn't have one. Everyone in the family knew it. I dragged the message into a folder on my desktop labeled Receipts and closed my laptop. 3 days later, I was scrolling through TikTok while waiting for dinner to finish when Phoebe's face appeared again. Same soft lighting. Same performative sadness. The caption read, Sometimes the people you love the most hurt you the worst. It was a vague apology video. No names, no specifics. But everyone knew who she meant. She sniffled through it, saying things like, I just wish people could understand my side, and I never wanted it to end up like this. The comments were brutal. Money gone equals act back. Maybe don't bite the hand that feeds you next time. Didn't you call your uncle a loser? She wants sympathy, but not accountability. By the next morning, the video had 20,000 views. Phoebe stopped replying to comments and locked her account. I didn't need to gloat. The internet was doing it for me. Around noon, my cousin Gina texted, Dude, have you seen her TikTok? This is wild. I replied, Yep, that was all. I figured that would be the end of it. Then, 2 days later, my building manager called. Hey, Tom, she said, just a heads up. After the incident last week with that woman waiting in your hallway, we've started checking guests at the front desk. If you're expecting anyone, just let us know first. Good idea, I said. Thanks. The next day, that new policy paid off. Around 6 in the evening, my intercom buzzed. Mr. Harris, the front desk clerk said, there's a young woman here asking for you. Says her name's Phoebe Reynolds. I froze. What does she want? She says it's urgent. Tell her I'm busy, I said automatically. There was a pause. She looks pretty upset, sir. Do you want me to send her away? I hesitated. Part of me wanted to end it there, let her deal with the consequences. But another part of me, the same part that once drove to New Hampshire in a snowstorm to bring her a heater for her dorm, wanted to hear what she had to say. Fine, I said. I'll come down. The elevator doors opened to the lobby, and there she was. Hoodie, jeans, messy hair, eyes red and swollen. She looked smaller somehow. Broken. When she saw me, she stood up fast. Uncle Tom, I cut her off. Whatever you're here for, make it quick. Her hands trembled. Please, can we talk somewhere private? No, I said flatly. If you've got something to say it here. A few people glanced over as they walked past. Phoebe swallowed, voice cracking. I just need your help. Please. I sighed. You've got 2 minutes. She looked completely different from the girl who'd called me a loser. Her hair was messy, dark circles under her eyes, and she wore the same Dartmouth hoodie I'd bought her freshman year. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. I messed up, she said quietly. I know I did. I shouldn't have said those things. I was just... She stopped, voice shaking. I was embarrassed. Embarrassed? I said, arms crossed. Tears started rolling down her face. Some of my friends, they teased me. They said it was weird that my uncle was paying for college. They made it sound like I was some charity case. I didn't want people thinking I was broke or that my family was broke. I didn't say anything, just stared at her while she rambled, words spilling out like she'd been holding them in for weeks. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said. I just didn't want people to see you there and start asking questions. I thought if I distanced myself, it would look better. So you called me a loser? I said flatly. She winced like I'd slapped her. I know, I shouldn't have. I was stupid. I didn't mean it. Yeah, you did, I said. You just didn't think I'd finally say no. She looked down, wiping her eyes. You're right. I took advantage of you. Mom said you'd pay no matter what. She said you wouldn't risk me not graduating. That hit harder than I expected. Not because she said it, but because I believed it. Regina had spent years betting on my guilt. Phoebe's voice dropped to a whisper. I'm sorry. I really am. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I'm begging you. I need help. I stared at her, half expecting another manipulation. What kind of help? She hesitated, then said it. $15,000. It's the last payment. If it's not paid by tomorrow, they won't let me graduate. She hesitated before adding, we managed most of this semester with a short-term loan and some aid money Mom found, but the school said the remaining balance is $15,000. They won't clear me without it. I let out a slow breath. So you want me to cover it again? Not cover, she said quickly. Loan. Please, I'll pay you back. I swear. I've already lined up 2 part-time jobs. Right, I said. Like the job after graduation you promised 4 years ago? She didn't argue, just looked at the floor. I should have walked away. I wanted to. But part of me, the part that raised her, that remembered her calling me Uncle Tom with a smile, wouldn't let me. Fine, I said finally. A loan. But this time, we do it my way. Her head snapped up. Anything. I'll do anything. Good, I said. You'll sign a contract. $15,000, 3% interest. Fixed monthly payments of $312.47 for 48 months, starting 6 months from now. Miss one, and I send the contract to every family member so they can see exactly how much I've done for you. Her eyes widened. You'd really do that? Yes, I said. I'm done being the family's wallet. You want to fix this? Prove it. She nodded, wiping her face. Okay, I'll sign whatever you want. We met the next morning at a small diner near my apartment. The place was half empty, just the smell of burnt coffee and the sound of a radio playing old rock songs. I'd already typed up the contract the night before. Every word was airtight. Dates, interest rate, default clause, due on the 15th each month. Even a line about electronic deposits. When Phoebe arrived, she looked worse than yesterday. Eyes red, hands shaking. She sat across from me, barely meeting my gaze. I slid the papers toward her. Read it. Slowly. She did. Her hands trembled as she reached the final page. You're really serious about this? Dead serious, I said. She signed her name, initials beside every paragraph like I told her to. I took a picture of the signed pages, then wired her the money on the spot. The confirmation pinged on her phone. She exhaled hard. So it'll clear in time? Yeah, I said. Financial aid told me once the balance posts, the hold lifts instantly. You'll be cleared to walk tomorrow. Thank you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. You don't need to thank me, I said. Just do what you signed. She nodded, folded the contract carefully, and tucked it into her hoodie pocket. I will. She stood up, hesitated like she wanted to say more, then just whispered, I'm sorry, before walking out. I sat there for a while after she left, staring at the empty coffee cup in front of me. Part of me wanted to believe her. Part of me didn't. The next day was graduation. My phone buzzed a few times that morning. Family group chat, photos, exclamation marks. I didn't open it. I spent the day working on a project and taking Rex for a long walk by the river. Around 5, my cousin Gina texted me a photo. It was Phoebe. Cap, gown, diploma in hand. She looked relieved, tired, and smaller somehow, like the last few weeks had stripped her of all that fake confidence. I stared at the photo for a long time. I wasn't proud or bitter, just done. That night, I deleted the family group chat. I'd kept up my end. She'd signed her deal, got her degree, and for once the power wasn't in their hands anymore. And if Phoebe kept her word, fine. If she didn't, well, I still had the receipts. A week after graduation, I got an email from Regina. The subject line read, "Celebration dinner, family only." The body was short and smug. "We're having a small dinner for Phoebe at Lakeside Steakhouse this Friday night. Hope you can come. Let's put the past behind us." The audacity almost made me laugh. They treated me like trash, then acted like everything was normal now that Phoebe had her diploma. I hovered over delete but stopped. I wasn't going to attend, but I was definitely going to make my presence felt. That night, I pulled out my folder. 4 years of tuition receipts, emails, and transaction confirmations. I itemized every payment down to the cent. Tuition, housing, textbooks, meal plans, everything. When I added it all up, the total came to just over $240,000. I formatted it neatly, printed it on thick paper, and wrote across the bottom in red ink, "Paid in full." Congratulations, Phoebe. Then I bought a sleek black frame and slipped the paper inside. It looked almost professional, like something a proud parent might hang in an office. On Friday, I scheduled a courier delivery to Lakeside Steakhouse. No note, just the framed gift, wrapped in silver paper with a gold ribbon. Then I sat back on my couch with Rex, turned on a movie, and waited. At 7:42 p.m., my phone started buzzing. First a text from my cousin Brian. "Dude, please tell me that gift was you." Then another from Jenna. "Tom, that was savage." "You're a legend." I smiled. Apparently, Regina had opened the package thinking it was something sentimental. Maybe a photo, maybe a nice frame with Phoebe's graduation picture. Instead, it was a full breakdown of every dollar I'd spent over 4 years. One of the cousins at the dinner filmed it secretly. Regina tore open the wrapping, lifted the frame, and froze. Mark leaned over to look. Phoebe's smile dropped instantly. The whole table went quiet. Someone whispered, "Is that a bill?" Regina's face turned red and she slammed the frame down. Phoebe buried her face in her hands. Mark muttered something, but nobody spoke loud enough to fill the silence. The video never made it online, but it didn't need to. It spread through the family in minutes. Cousins forwarded it around until everyone had seen it. I didn't get a single angry call from Regina. Not one. I think they finally realized I wasn't bluffing anymore. A week later, something unexpected happened. My bank pinged with a notification. A CH credit hit my account, $312.47. Description: Phoebe repayment number 1. I stared at it for a full minute, then laughed. She was actually paying, and she kept paying. Every 15th of the month, right on schedule. No message, no note, just the money. After 3 payments, Regina and Mark went completely silent. No texts, no calls, no fake family invites. What surprised me wasn't their silence, though. It was everyone else's reaction. Family members I hadn't spoken to in years started reaching out. My Aunt Karen texted, "Heard about the dinner. You did what needed to be done." My cousin Gina sent a thumbs-up emoji and wrote, "You're the frame guy now." 6 months after graduation, Phoebe posted an Instagram story. This one was different. No filters, no fake tears, no victim act. She sat in a coffee shop, hair pulled back, speaking calmly. "I've learned a lot this year," she said, "about pride, about gratitude, about how easy it is to take people for granted when they're the ones holding you up. I messed up with someone who did more for me than anyone else ever will. I owe him everything I have, and I mean everything." Her voice cracked near the end, but she didn't cry this time. She didn't name me, but she didn't have to. I didn't comment. I didn't send her a message. I just watched it once and closed the app. 4 years of paying, months of humiliation, one text that shattered everything, and one decision that rebuilt me. I didn't do it for revenge. I did it because I needed them to remember who made all of this possible. I wanted them to feel the weight of every dollar, every favor, every silent moment where I chose to help, even when they didn't deserve it. The money didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that they'd never forget it. Every time Phoebe looked at her diploma, she'd remember who paid for it. Every time Regina saw her daughter make a payment, she'd remember the night that restaurant went silent. It wasn't about punishment. It was about proof. They thought I'd roll over to keep the peace. They thought wrong. I kept the receipts, and they're still unpacking that cap. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.